George is a steamroller who despises railways. Railways are no good. Pull 'em up, turn 'em into roads. Pull 'em up, turn 'em into roads. One day, George arrived at a level crossing. He heard ducks whistle in the distance. He had a naughty idea and rolled up onto the crossing. Then Duck arrived at the crossing. "George, what are you doing on the tracks?" he asked. "I'm giving you a lesson, you tin kettle. Roads are better than railways. You have to accept that, you idiot." "That's where you're wrong, George. I've got a lesson for you." And Duck puffed forward, knocking into George, pushing him along the tracks until he fell off. "I'll get you back for this, you tin kettle," groaned George. Later that day, George was back at the level crossing. He got back up onto the tracks, so he was in the way. Then along came Duck with the passenger train. "What are you doing now, George?" he asked. "Yeah, well, remember how earlier I said that I would teach you a lesson? Well, here it is." And George rolled forward, smashing into Duck. "Help!" cried Duck, but no one could hear him. Then Duck's driver put the regulator on full, and Duck shot forward. Pushing George out of his way. Continued on with his passenger train. George was fed up of the railway and had an idea. Duck was also fed up, and he told the other engines about what had happened, and they all came up with a plan. George had talked one of his mates, Tesco Lorry, into helping him defeat the engines once and for all. They could see the steam engines in the distance as they pulled in with style. Neil, Thomas and Sally took care of Tesco Lorry. While Duck, Edward and Lady pushed George aside like he was simply not there. It was clear that the steam engines had won, so they simply left. But Neil stayed behind to clear up the mess. The engines cheered as Neil pushed George and Tesco Lorry to the garage. Yay! And from that day on, George learned his lesson of never going after the steam engines. Of course he still complained, because that was just how he was, but he knew never to be so stupid as to try and fight a duel with the engines again.